Daily Show host Trevor Noah got his start in stand-up comedy. He's got a Netflix special. It's called Son of Patricia, and in it he explains why he does not enjoy camping.
Enthusiasm, like, Trevor, you want to go camping, dude? I'm like, why? Why? It's like, dude, what do you mean why? It's amazing. You're kidding me? It's like no water, no electricity, you know? It's just like us in the great outdoors. You gotta take a dump in the hole in the floor or something, dude. I'm like, yeah, that was my life. That was me growing up. You know how hard I worked to never go camping again?
The Emmy Award winner is out with a new paperback edition of his New York Times best-selling memoir. It's Trevor Noah, Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood. Noah's book is adapted for young readers, and he shares his journey growing up biracial under apartheid when interracial relationships were illegal. We should mention that The Daily Show is on Comedy Central. That's a division of Viacom CBS. And Trevor Noah joins us now from his home in New York. Trevor, good morning.
Good morning to you. How's everybody doing?
We're doing okay, all things considered. I think I want to underscore something very unusual about your book. Now, first of all, most books published in this country never make the bestseller list. Your book not only made it, but then came back around and made it a second time. What's going on? What's your reaction to that? How did that happen?
I think I've been really fortunate and blessed in that the book has resonated with people for different reasons. So when I first wrote it, I think a lot of people gravitated towards the book because they wanted to learn about apartheid in South Africa. They wanted to learn about the history of a country that had gone through something very similar to America, but very different at the same time. And then what I've discovered recently has been the resurgence of the book has been driven a lot by children, strangely enough, because as much as I wrote a book about growing up in South Africa, really the gist of the book is just the story of me growing up with my mom. And it's a story of coming of age. You know, it's a story of being an outsider, not knowing where you fit in the world, not knowing how the world relates to you. And I think a lot of kids have related to that. And so that's been the driving force for why the book has remained on the New York Times bestsellers list. And I've been really grateful.
The book does segue back to that bit we played at the top where people were talking about camping, and you're like, look, that was my life. I mean, there are moments in the book where, if I recall correctly, you guys have so little money, you're eating wild spinach just picked off the ground. It's an unusual story, right, in addition to being universal in the sense that it is coming of age. As you repackage it, leave some things in, take other things out for young readers in this new edition, what are you hoping that they'll take away from it?
Well, the biggest thing I hope they take away is what, I took forever to learn, and we all take forever to learn in life, especially as kids, is that, in life, I don't think we should be striving to fit in. We should be striving to find ourselves. We should be striving to accept ourselves. And, I know a lot of kids read my book and they were like, oh, wow, I can't believe you grew up in South Africa, but you had the same stresses as me. You were worried about getting someone to go to the prom with. You were worried about, being liked in school. You were worried about where you fit in. Your family was dysfunctional and you had issues with that, and those issues came into your life. And so for me, whenever children read the book and whenever I read passages to kids or whenever I join into like little book clubs, the biggest thing that strikes me is how similar we are all over the globe. We all have different lives and we all live in different countries. But when it boils down to it, as human beings, there are fundamental experiences that we're all going through on very different levels. And it's actually unifying to see for me that no matter where you are in the world, no matter what continent you're on, you can be experiencing the exact same thing. And I think you can find the same answers in how to overcome those obstacles.
Trevor, Maya used to say that all the time, that we are more alike than we are different, and your book certainly highlights that. The original version was 84,000 words. For young adults, it's 72,000 words. You say no profanity, no overt sexual material, but in the book you include the history of apartheid and how it differs from Jim Crow laws in the United States. I have questions about that, but I won't. Why is it important, you think, to have those kind of discussions with kids?
Well, I think it's important. When I was young, I had an amazing history teacher in school who really emphasized the need for us to learn history, and I never understood why. And she always used to say, the reason we learn history is so we can try our best not to repeat the follies of the past. And I think a lot of the time, history and learning of history has become a divisive thing in many places in the world because people feel like we're trying to relive what happened. But I think, if anything, it gives us context, not just as kids, but as adults, in learning where we've come from, how we've come to be here. And I think, if you think of history on a simple level, if you remove humans from it, it just helps us understand why we are where we are today. So if you're going to build a house, you get somebody to come out and survey the land, and they're basically telling you the history of the land before you can build the house, so you can figure out what foundation to put on that land. And I think history serves the same purpose for us. Without us knowing what the foundation of the land is, we can't figure out how to move forward as a society. We don't know why anybody is where they are. We don't understand what structural elements of society have been in place that have hurt people or helped certain people. And so I think that's the importance with history, is just understanding this is how we got to where we are today. And then this is how we can move away from what we did incorrectly in the past. And I think that's the beauty of storytelling. That's the beauty of history. And I think people fight about it way more than they should, because they put themselves in the history and then they start to fight about something that has already happened.
Yeah, we need people to map those foundations for us, and we also need people to take the particular and to make it universal. And in that latter category, you're one of the best there is. So, Trevor Noah, thank you very much for joining us. The paperback edition of It's Trevor Noah, Born a Crime is on sale now. You can see The Daily Show, by the way, The Daily Show Distancing Show, weeknights on Comedy Central.